Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and we've certainly got one for you today. The OJs are one of my favourite group ever, and there is no question that Love Train is the greatest radio record ever. Isn't that right? Eric Nolan Grant, how are you?
I'm great, man. Yeah, and you know what? That's right. If we're doing a concert and things look like they might not go as well, we put on Love Train and everybody run and they step up and they jump up and they stand up and they dance in the aisle.
When we think about your music, I only think good thoughts. A lot of artists love to do those dreary ballads where they take us to dark places. You've always been an uplifting band, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, we pride ourselves on doing up-tempo records because we just feel like, you know, in the words of Eddie LeVert, if you can, the one that can make them dance, they can own the show.
And again, your shows have become legendary as a big party. People go there to have fun. What an incredible legacy. Let's go back to the beginning, though, you and your voice. I mean, when I hear you sing live, it is such a thrill. You have such a gift. I guess you can't be taught that. That's God-given.
Oh, yeah, definitely God-given because I haven't had any classical training, and I've never went to school for it per se. You know, when I went to school for the 13 months, I actually went to try to learn about scales and how to read music and how to play the piano, not for voice. So, you know, that is definitely God-given.
You're coming to London for a rare gig at one of the most beautiful theatres, in fact the biggest and oldest theatre I think in the West End. The Theatre Royal Drury Lane on July 15th will be home to the OJs. And again, is it thrilling to know that whether you turn up in Bombay, Morecambe Bay, London, Beirut, New York, Paris, Milan, you're going to sell out? It's incredible.
You know, and it still baffles me. I mean, sometimes we do concerts all over, and our concerts sell out quicker than the younger artists. You know what I mean? And the thing that I love about what we do is that we don't bring smoke and mirrors. You know, there's no whole lot of things going on, and we're not disappearing, and we just doing real entertainment with a light and a mic. That's it. I mean, we came there some years ago and we did, am I saying this right, the H2O Arena?
Oh, the O2. Like yeah, the O2 in London.
The O2, yeah, we did that. And the people never sat in their seats. They never sat in their seats, not the whole entire time. They rushed up to the stage, and they just jammed and danced all night long.
What do you get from that? Is that still utterly encapsulating? I can understand why people end up going bonkers in show business. When you've got 18,000 people cheering at you, that's intoxicating, isn't it? Well, you know what? I don't understand it, Alex. I don't understand why they lose their mind in the business, because I think that people, what they do is they're expressing their love for your craft, for whatever it is that you do, whether you catch a touchdown or whether you shoot the winning basket in a basketball game. I mean, people, they have a tendency of showing you how much you thrill them and how much they appreciate what you do. You know, I mean, same with you, Alex. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, when you go out, you know, in the streets of London, how many people come up to you and tell you how they enjoy listening to your radio show, because that's how people are. So I just think that we do what we do because that's where God put us, and that's the position that God put us in. But at the end of the day, the people make us. We don't make the people. The audience make us. We get our energy from them. Do you know the difference, though, between you and me is somebody once told me in radio, by the time you've left the car park, they've already forgotten your name, and it's very true, whereas a record somehow penetrates our soul. We never quite forget that rhythm. We never forget the bass line that moves our heart. That's the difference, and I think that's the reason, particularly with the 70s. It's never been more popular. It was a timeless era, wasn't it, for music?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. But the one thing that you must remember, that without you and people like you, they don't get a chance to hear artists like us.
Yeah. Yeah. Is radio still important to music?
Well, let me say this. I'm going to answer your first question. Yes, radio is very important to music. And yes, radio has changed. I mean, has changed drastically, like unfairly changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, you remember, and I know you remember this, because the UK are like now moving to the forefront of the mothers and the fathers of the music business, believe it or not, coming from the States and listening to UK radio. I hear it all the time, so that's the reason why I'm able to say this. But the UK are becoming the mothers and the fathers of the music business, because the UK actually play music. They actually play real music. And they appreciate real talent, real music, real singing, real live bands. And so they play that music. Whereas in the States, it's about perception. It's about an image, and it doesn't necessarily mean talent. Whereas when we were coming up in the 70s, it was all about the talent. It had nothing to do with image. It had nothing to do with how you look and whether your body was great and whether you had pretty hair. It had nothing to do with any of that, because no one ever saw the groups. They just heard the music.
Right. And no matter how many followers on Instagram you had, made absolutely no difference.
It didn't even matter. It didn't matter. Because in the UK, when I went over there, I stayed over there for like 9 days. And it was the best music I've heard. It was so refreshing, man. And it wasn't that so much that I was hearing, you know, the OJs or the Stylistics or the Delphonics or it had nothing to do with that. It had something to do with, I was listening to UK artists.
Right.
And they were singing. They were singing. They was like really putting in the work, and you could hear it in the production of the music. And it was just so refreshing. I would keep the radio on when I was in my hotel room. I would keep the radio on the whole time. I wouldn't even look at TV. I would just listen to the music because it felt so good. And then I get back here, man, and I'm only gonna listen to 8 artists. I'm listening to 8 artists all day.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm going to ask you to name them, but not just yet. I worked for a radio station over here called Gold, which was probably the biggest gig I'll ever have in my career, and I loved it very much. It's sad that they've gone to all the music now. They've sacked all the DJs and just play them in rotation. But nevertheless, when you hear something like Money, 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 Money come on the radio, it never gets old. What's the key to a hit then? Why do I love that more than the next song?
Because the song is still relevant. We didn't do music that didn't transcend. In other words, what was relevant then is relevant today.
Right.
When you listen to Backstabbers, Backstabbers is basically what everyone is saying today. Oh, why you keep hating on me? That person hating on you. You know what I'm saying? And that's really just Backstabbers. For the love of money. People are doing that today, man. People are they're losing their mind for that mean green. Love train, we all know that's what the world is suffering from. We need so much more love. And if we would just love thy neighbor as we love thyself, we could get along better. I was having this conversation maybe about 3 days ago, and I was just saying how people will take, if Alex is talking to Eric, and Alex go and tell another person about Eric and say, oh, I don't like talking to Eric. Eric is whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, that person would take Alex's word for it without even never talking to Eric.
That's right.
But that's not fair.
No,
that's not fair. Because Alex could very well do one or two things. Alex could be the person that rubbed Eric the wrong way, 1. 2, or Alex could be just telling a lie.
Yep, or have an agenda.
But you convict Eric and never ever talk to Eric, never shook his hand.
And you know what? That analogy sums up social media, doesn't it? Everybody's spouting off and they really know what they're talking about.
That's right, man. And they're just saying is whatever sounds clever and whatever sounds exciting, people flock to that, and that's where the world is going to. The world is going to sensationalism.
What year was Love Train written?
I think Love Train was done in 77, 78.
The next stop that we make will be Love. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. The next verse. All of the brothers over in Africa. Tell all the folks in Egypt and Israel too. This is decades old and as relevant today as it ever was. It's extraordinary.
It's relevant, man. It's relevant. That's what all of these OJ's records, man. I sing them every night. I mean, and I listen to these lyrics and I see how the people react. And it's because it's today's music. It's today's social media.
Am I right in thinking you spent a lot of time in Detroit? Because I've got family in Michigan, and Detroit means a lot to me. And certainly in terms of Motown, probably my favorite brand of music that there's ever been. What was your association? Because, I mean, you've worked so closely with the Temptations, and, of course, when we look at the Deltones and people like that, I mean, you've been around and worked with some of the greats, haven't you?
Well, when I first started, and I got a taste of that whole professional thing, I sung with the lead singer for the Temptations, Dennis Edwards, who just recently passed away. My condolences to his family. And I wasn't even making money then. I was more in it for the knowledge that I couldn't pay for, because just sitting there and being around those Motown acts and being around Dennis Edwards, and I had Dennis with me like one-on-one, like nightly, and just to get the knowledge, that was worth more than gold to me. It prepared me for even today's life.
And history can tell a different truth. Was it a reality that you'd walk through the door and Stevie would be on the piano and Diana would be in the canteen, and then you'd walk next to the Temptations and the Four Tops? Was it as magical as that, or is that history sort of retelling a truth?
No, that's the truth. They were so humble and so common that you never got a chance to look at them as, wow, that's Stevie Wonder, or wow, that's Diana, or wow, that's Eddie Kendrick. You never got a chance, because they never made you feel that way. They never made you feel like you should be in awe of them. They made you feel like, how you doing today? What you gonna do when you leave here? You know what I mean?
But you know this is incredible, don't you? I mean, to be your eyes must be extraordinary. To be around those type of people at that time when you were all just on a level playing field. What a thrill. Fantastic.
Well, we didn't look at it like that back then.
I get it. No, I totally get it.
They were people, yeah.
And in terms of recreating this music today, we're going to see you in July coming to the Theatre or Drury Lane. Have you seen a picture of the grid of this theatre, by the way? You know how enormous it is, don't you?
Yes, sir.
You know that you're going to have to look up literally above your head to see the top of the theatre. It's huge.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned how to do those arenas, and it's basically, we just give the soul of the music. We just make sure that we pour our soul into it. And believe it or not, and I think you know this, Alex, when you put your soul into it, your soul fills up the arena.
I know. Do you know what's interesting about that building, particularly being the oldest theatre in Britain? The queens and the kings and the princes and the stars and the legends that have been in that theatre particularly, it never gets old. It's akin to the Palladium. I mean, it's a beautiful story of show business history, that theatre. And to walk out on that stage, it is absolutely fitting to your legacy, because I still honestly believe they'll be playing Love Train on the radio in 50 years' time, 500 years' time, because it's utterly timeless. And for you to recreate those live is so amazing. I'm excited for you, Eric. I truly am.
You making me really, really excited, because I can't wait to get on that stage and perform for those people, man. The UK is so it's so warm, and they so loving. It's like y'all don't have a care in the world. I mean, I know y'all do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel that way.
Isn't it bizarre as well, for such a tiny speck on the planet, such a small, insignificant country, we've had such an impact? No, but seriously, but for geographically such a small place, I went to Las Vegas and I looked at the headliners at Caesar's Palace, and there was Elton, Rod and Celine, and you think 2/3 of that schedule is made up of this tiny place that's about the size of Nevada. It's extraordinary.
Wow. Well, the people there feels that place. I mean, it just feels so good there,
Yeah.
man. I enjoyed myself.
And we love it. We
the
care.
whole night. Yeah.
Incredible. Listen, I'm going to let you go. I could talk to you for another 20 minutes. I've loved your time. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Eric Grant, thank you so much for your time. What an amazing life and career. You can see him live with the OJs at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane from July 15th. This 70s soul disco party will be taking place with original members Eddie Levere and, of course, Walter Williams as well will be there with Eric, Knocking 'em Dead, a live orchestra as well. Again, just give me a final thought, that feeling when the pin focuses on you and you've got the lead vocal and you're driving the show. Is there any better feeling than that?
There's zero better feeling than that, because at that particular time, you have those people captivated, and now it's just all on you to deliver and make those people feel what they felt when they first walked through the door to see you.
Yeah.
So when they leave, you know, Charlie Atkins always told us, who did our choreography and put our shows together, Charlie Atkins always told us that when the people leave, they should be talking about you.
To be your eyes, to have lived your life must be extraordinary. Congratulations, you're a huge star. What a voice, what a talent. Thank you for your time, Eric. I love you very much, and congratulations to the continued success of the OJs. See them live at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane on July 15th. Thanks for your time.